Hey folks, hope y'all weathered the storm all right. Hope the damage was kept to a minimal. But I know I'm looking forward to getting back out on the water. We decided to reschedule some of our trips for this week just to wait on the little better weather and better conditions. But I want to take a minute to discuss some of these changes, some of these weather changes that we're going to have coming at us as early as next week and on to the rest of the year. Now, one of the things that you're going to start hearing a bunch of is the word transition. And I'm not saying that transition is wrong. I'm not saying that it's make-believe. But I've found from my own experience that while the word transition discusses the movement of fish from sand and grass and shell to mud and grass or mud and shell, I don't find that to particularly be true. Now, there are instances and cases, weather cases, where those areas, those protected areas, were the only thing we had to fish on a given day due to wind. But I want to challenge you through the course of the fall and winter to not neglect the same stuff that you'd been fishing all summer long, sand and grass and shell. And yes, it does take a different approach. You have to go at it in a different way. You know, our water is going to start to clear up, and one of the things that make our water that greenish tint that we're used to all summer long is simply the microorganisms and little bacteria that are in the water. Well, when that water temp starts to drop due to these cold fronts and reaches, a certain point, kind of 70 is kind of the magic number. But when it gets around that 70 and below, those organisms can't survive. And so they die and slough off, and we're left with clean water. And rather than driving by that clean water, which might be on sand and grass or shell, as you're, heading to a mud area, stop and take a look at it. If all the signs are still there, if the bait is there and the right bait activity is there, give it a try. I know I do, and a lot of the times we're very successful with it. But there are keys, especially to wading those kind of areas. You have to really slow down. It works better on a cloudier day, maybe with a 10 to 15 mile an hour wind. 20 mile an hour wind kind of conceals your movement, and it helps too that you make long cast. The longer the cast, the better off you are, because those fish are staying a certain distance from you. And a long cast coupled with a real slow walk can produce a very good bite. And I suggest to all my clients, as soon as somebody on our line gets bit, everybody stops. And we just stand there and see what we can pull out of that zone for the next 15 or 20 minutes. And rather than driving by and going with your mindset of, I've got to go to mud bottom, I've got to find a mud bottom, try it. Like I said, I challenge you to try it. And once you start to see the pattern for yourself, once you start to realize what kind of fish are in that area, you'll never go back to wading in a mud bottom unless you absolutely have to. But just food for thought. See what you can do with it, and I hope you're successful at it. All right, I'll see y'all next week. Thanks.